to the show, everyone. Today is a good day. It's always a good day when you're one, alive, two, in the Richard ecosystem, and three, have someone fun to stream with. It's a good day for me, at least. So today we have Crypty Girl on the show, and I think it'll be a good conversation. Great to finally meet her. I told her in the green room that I remember seeing her on the documentary, and I definitely want to get into that whole experience and just super fun. If you haven't seen the trailer for the Highest of Stakes, the Richard Hart, I want to say Richard Hart documentary, but he always says, "Oh, I'm in it." But so I'm really curious to see like how much content is focused on, I don't know, like HEX and PulseChain and Richard, and how much is just people telling stories and testimonials and what they've been able to achieve, giving these opportunities that don't come around too often in a crazy flying everywhere ecosystem like crypto. So that's going to be fun. And then, I'm curious to hear her story too. And yeah, we'll get to know her. And again, AMA, pretty much every show is AMA. Ask whatever questions you want. We'll put them up. We'll talk to the people and should be fun. Should be a fun stream. If you didn't catch the one yesterday and you're curious about PulseChain dev updates and what all this stuff means, I went through the basics, the technical, but the basics version. So just type in RHMax, Richard Hart AMA number 3, and that's the one that I talk about. I addressed some of the RH FUD in the beginning, and then the most of it is talking about what the screenshot of testnet v3, what does it all mean, and more than just what Richard talked about in the tweet. So I try to give you a view of what is going on as far as the different components to PulseChain, what we're waiting on, why it's not a copy and paste, all the goodies in that way. So let me say hi to the chat real quick, and then we'll get into it. FOMO. Every time I say this word, I love the name, FOMO-phobic. Every time my mind goes in a lot of different directions on that one. Awesome name. I'm glad you capitalized FOMO. At least that makes it easier. Red Squirrel, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Thanks for signing on. I know it's your bedtime, so I appreciate you striking the chat for algos. T-Bird, love that name too. Let's go, man. We're doing it. We're here. Crypto Truth, appreciate you being here. Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, T-Bird. Crypty's a legend. Yeah, I like interviewing legends, so that's what I like to do. Crypto Truth, starting space soon for speaking Richard live. Ooh, yeah. That would be interesting, man. Let me know when you're planning it, and I will see if I can make myself available. I've actually never been on a Twitter space, but somebody, Papa Boner, that name, invited me on for a security one with him and John McCoy. It's supposed to happen sometime. And yeah, I'd love to talk about Richard and Scivive, and I'm a Sciviver. Scivive and 555er. Spoke to SJ. Yeah, it'd be cool if you had SJ on. She is like Mrs. Scivive, so that'd be awesome to have her too. Yeah, just let me know when you're planning it for and who's coming and all that, and it should be fun. DJ and Dougie, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Glad to have a chat here. Glad to have people excited for our guest. Let's bring her on the show. Welcome, Crypty Girl.
Hello, Hexicans. Thanks for hyping up the chat. It's great to see you all again, and very fun to be live with you again. And thanks, Max, for inviting me on.
Of course. Yeah, it's, as I was telling you in the green room, I probably watched the Highest of Stakes trailer 20 times now. And yeah, you called it. You said you might be known for a contagious laugh, and that is an amazing laugh you have on that they actually filmed it. It's not always easy to do it. I mean, that's naturally and like in the right moment and capture it, and you just it's just like a really feel good thing. Like when you see the people talking on the trailer, and I'm sure the documentary goes into more detail of all the stories. And we'll get into that too of maybe you had part how big your part was and what you might have talked about and things. But it's just so good to just see these things and people having these great experiences and sharing them with the world. And you're definitely a highlight of the trailer for me. I'm like, oh, that girl
thank you.
Makes me feel good about everything. Yeah, it's awesome. So great job on the trailer, and the documentary is going to be amazing, of course, as well.
Oh, it will be. And that's so nice to hear. I think my main role was to kind of balance out the whole crypto sphere with like a voice of, well, just like a presence of light, I think. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that a lot of people felt good about it.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, and we'll get in the documentary in a few minutes though, but because I'll pull it up and show everyone in case you haven't seen. I'll just put your scene on there real quick, and so everyone can like, that's her, yeah, that's her. But before we get into that, you just want to walk us through, like, how'd you get into crypto? How'd you find Richard Hart, Hex? What I guess your introduction to the community.
Sure. So, hello everyone. I'm Crypty Girl, also just Crypty works too. And I started with creating crypto clothing. And so, t-shirts, crypto t-shirts, that's where Crypty came about with the combined words. And then I started making content. I was a co-host of the Block Babes, and that was like back in 2020. We were interviewing founders and wallet creators, like the BitFi founder. That's really cool. And just developers, different people around the space. So I did that for about a year. And at the same time, I was just discovering and learning more about HEX. And actually, it was a friend that got me into it initially, but that was before I had learned anything. So in December 2019, when HEX launched, a good friend of mine scooped up a bag and distributed a little Christmas gift to his close friends, me included, and showed me how to stake um, with with my hardware wallet. And then all I could see like online was just like the FUD around it for the next 6 months. And I'm like, well, I feel really good about it, like learning about the pumpamentals and the whole concept of it. So I'm like, it makes sense. Um, and I didn't buy into the fear of it being a scam. However, my one concern was just connecting MetaMask wallet to websites to do staking, because that's something we all have to watch out for no matter the project, right? So I learned that go.hex.com was safe, of course, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm going to start investing more. And as I was learning more, I got invited on to Discourse Syndicate by Dollar Cost Crypto, and Captain RG3 was there. And yeah, so I
Shout out to the
actually,
captain.
yeah, shout out, ahoy mateys, right? I just asked them questions, so it was kind of like a backwards show. So I was just learning about
Oh.
it, and this wonderful, wonderful character in our community that went by Ski Cat. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he was there on the show, and he decided, he wrote in the chat, he's like, I'm going to gift you 1 million hex if you stake this. And so RG3 and dollar cost, they told me that. I'm like, no way, that's not really happening, is it? So I'm like, wow, okay. And it just really caught me off guard. I wish I could go back to that moment too and thank Ski Cat more.
Yeah,
um,
that's
but
awesome.
by the end of the show, he had promised 2.5 million hex to me, as the show just
Wow.
unfolded, and I was learning more. So I could tell that like that someday would absolutely change my life, and even in that moment, I felt forever changed, just because um, it's like it's spiritual when like some stranger on the internet just decides to bless someone else's life in that way. That doesn't happen very often, if at all. So it definitely changed my perspective, like the way I want to live life going forward and be even better. So that all happened. Ski Cat ended up sending me 3 million hex, and I staked out 2 million of it for 5,555 days. And then the other 1 million I laddered for the next 15 years.
You are in.
Yeah.
I love it.
And since then, I've been on and off, publicly on some shows, but just creating more HEX apparel and Richard Hart PulseChain, PulseX kind of apparel on cryptyshop.com, my side business. And yeah, just kind of working to help grow the community, but more from like in a private way, not so much public anymore. Yeah, and then did you want to talk about the movie, The Highest of Stakes? Because it all kind of leads into that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull up the. Just want to show the scene while you're talking about it, so people can connect with it. It's amazing. I think you have one of the coolest. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in the trailer, but I think you have one or two different parts in it that are just like, whoa, like, just super positive, super high on everything. Let's see. Let me just play. There's no sound, but I'll just play for a second and then pause.
There
we go. Yes. There she is. 2 years ago? How long ago was that?
I think that was, so that was 2 years ago, at least in my age when I filmed that.
Okay. Yeah. You want to take us through, like, how did you even become someone who was in the documentary, and like how did the whole process come about?
It all just came to me. Quattro Cinco, a wonderful member of the HEX community and an OG, he messaged me and asked if I wanted to be part of a documentary that they're making about cryptocurrency and Richard Hart, and have a lot of Hexicans in it to tell a story about this being the future and really share this movement with the world. I'm like, wow, that's I was honored. I'm like, I can't believe I got asked to be part of that. So yes, I accepted and got connected with the filmmakers, and they did a phone call interview with me just to see kind of my story. And then I flew down to a location that we would be filming the main interview for. And then a couple weeks later, I flew to Portland to do some of the outdoor scenes as just background footage. And it was cool because Nerd Girl was also entering as I was exiting. So it was just fun to say hi to her. But it was really cool for Quattro Cinco to really get the ball rolling on this, because the filmmakers, he got put into, he brought it all together. That's my understanding. But yeah, it's really cool that our community was able to put together something like this, and I can't wait to see the actual film. Even I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's I think one of the most anticipated documentaries. I know. I'm trying to even. I don't. I watched the Coin documentary recently on Coinbase and with Brian Armstrong, and I mean, it was for crypto documentary for like a nerd, just like whatever. It was fine. Like a lot of people, if you compare it to this one I think is going to blow it out of the water. But just in general, I was like, okay, Coin. I know more about Coinbase. And Brian Armstrong, very very interesting guy. But this documentary, it seems like, how would you categorize it as far as, I mean, do you think it's going to win some awards? Do you think that the direction they went in, the people that got in it, I guess, what are some of the things that you're just really high on for the documentary, as far as just how it came out and how they shot it and just the ideals and what you can share on that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, to address the first part about awards, I'm not sure the qualifications for how they determine what gets awarded, but you could just see in the trailer how epic it is. The whole mood of this trailer is just like epicness and challenge between struggle and prevailing, and the censorship and the freedom. It's just like all of it rolled into one epic ball that'll be a fantastic cinema. So I would definitely give it an award. Although I haven't even seen it yet. I've heard little bits and pieces from everyone who is interviewed for this documentary, and some of the events they did and filmed. So I kind of have a little glimpse, but I'm not really seeing the full picture.
Okay.
And when people watch it, they'll Well, a light bulb will turn on for a lot of people just because of the censorship that Hex had gone through for the first 3 years. I mean, even up to this point, and it's just all part of. I guess it's a microcosm of the grand awakening that we're all experiencing around the world. And so a lot of people would probably invest in Hex at that time once they see it. I know Richard Hart had said something like, they're still trying to get it past the Netflix reviewers to get it onto Netflix. So, I mean, that's probably, I mean, the people who run those kind of platforms, it doesn't surprise me that they're still trying to get it past them just because Hex is,
Gatekeepers.
yeah, Hex is a product that has freed so many people thus far and has made a lot of good people wealthy. And that's like, that's such a powerful weapon. I mean, some of the people up at the top do not want to see that. But it's going to happen anyway. Like, I feel pretty confident in that.
Absolutely. And maybe too, it'd be interesting to hear. So, did you shoot a couple scenes? Like, I guess, what was the process like? You went to Portland. It sounds like, they did. Was there like a script, or did you just like kind of like go off of your experience in Hex, or did you get to choose different things to talk about, or how was that whole experience?
Sure. So Patrick was interviewing me. He was one of the filmmakers, kind of like the visionary.
Hmm.
And then I just got sat down in that chair right there, and he was off to the corner, and yeah, and then the camera was in front of me, and he was asking me the questions, and I kept wanting to talk to him to answer them. He's like,
Uh-huh.
"Look at the camera." I'm like, "Oh, sorry." He said it nicely, of course, but it's just,
Right.
couldn't help it, but he just started off just asking me a bunch of questions that he had, or that he thought would be good for the film, just really trying to pull pull the juice out of me, like, the drama that would make people go, "Oh, wow," such as the part with, like, "I've made enough money in the last week, I could buy a
Yeah.
house in cash." So that part
Yes.
actually, um, we actually like, he asked me, like, 6 different times in different forms of questions to get that piece. We're
Mm,
kind of dancing around it because it's not something I would naturally say. It seems more
yeah.
of like a brag.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually gonna be outtake, like, I didn't know that was gonna be part of the trailer. I was just kind of jokingly, mockingly, like, saying it back to him, like, "Oh, yeah, right?" And then they used
That's
that.
awesome. Wow. I'm glad they did. Like, that seriously is one of the highlights of the documentary. Uh,
Well, when I see it, I'm like, "Wow, that's cringy," but if it helps get the viewership up, then it's all for the best, right?
it gets the people going, just like Will Ferrell, the Will Ferrell meme.
And then,
Yeah, that's go ahead.
no, if you're gonna say something.
No, no, absolutely. Go for it.
And then he asked me my story of how I got into Hex, and then I told the whole story with the amazing ski cat, and that was very like an emotional part. So I'm sure that'll be in the film, and then just I think what I envision for the future. So just all the good things that are coming. But yeah, he had it all laid out pretty much with the direction he was taking it, but it was very malleable, the conversation, so we just lead off into wherever we were going. And hello everyone in the chat. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome.
A lot of fans in the chat. They're glad to see Crypty Girl on the stream, Crypty on the stream. Yeah, that's is there anything, I don't know. It's hard for me to even ask about it. Not like just knowing without being there. I'm always curious. Just the filming sessions and the style and the crew. I guess, was there anything interesting you could talk about as far as just um, maybe on the process, or maybe did you have to come back and do more takes, or did Patrick talk about, oh, this is gonna be really good, and you saw the trailer, you're like, whoa, I didn't know it was gonna be that good. Like, anything notable?
that it did kind of blow my mind when I saw the trailer. That was long before the trailer was public. Um, so at the end of my interview, I was kind of let down. I'm like, "Why? I feel like I really didn't express myself the way I would have liked to." And so Patrick then said, "We want you to come back and do a follow-up." I'm like, "What?" I'm like,
Mm,
Why do you want me to come back?" And, he's like, "Well, I mean, your part was huge." I'm like, I'm just a young girl." And he's like, "You also balance out the film because
mm,
you provide, like, a lot of goodness in a space where people are more concerned about, material items and gaining, like, Lambos and just money and, parties." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And it all the process was very quick too, like, by the time Quattro Cinco had messaged me, I was on a call with Patrick the next day or 2, and
mm.
then it just took me, like, 3 days, and then I'd flown down to the filming location, and then just 2 weeks later, I was off to Portland to film some of the background, um, just extra footage. And we didn't have time to film anything else, but we also knew that the film would be jam packed with so many people and cool things happening that we don't need any additional things. But I was just honored, honestly, that they even wanted me to film more. Um, yes, very cool. And the whole film crew, they were so genuine and just wanted me to feel very comfortable. When I arrived at the filming location, they had all these pastries laid out and like water and things and they were like, "This is all for you." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Do you
Wow.
need anything? Like a notepad, pens? Like we can have him go run to the store and grab it for you." I'm like, "Oh, I'm good."
Wow. That's cool. That sounds like a very, very fun, unique experience. Couldn't
It
imagine.
was super cool. Super cool.
Wow. Yeah. Everyone, if you have any questions on the documentary, she'll be here for a little bit longer, so feel free to throw them in the chat. But I feel like I know much more about the process now, and just yeah, so happy that you were able to get on there. And I think that's really, I think you said it. What and what everyone thought too. You said Patrick and the crew really felt like you balance it out with the world of Lambos and the world of money and the world of like get it right now and crypto and all this stuff. And you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm just super happy I found the product and I've got all this X and everything's going great. And I really do feel like that really pushes the right buttons, especially in the trailer. And do you know, like your parts? Do you know? You said you haven't seen the film, but like, do you know if you'll have like a few minutes in it, or just a clip or
I
two,
have
or have they
no
told you anything
idea.
about that? Okay.
I It'll be a complete surprise. Like it could be just 2 minutes, 30 seconds. I'm not sure. It could be like 5 minutes and I'm not sure. Um, but it'll be really good. I'm excited to see everyone else's parts too and how it'll pump up our space and really just tell the truth. Just yeah, telling the truth is the most important.
Well, that's a great segue too into because I want to ask you about Richard and your just just about the truth part. It's what do you think is the most why is it so hard to find the truth when you Google for Richard Hart or you look in the Hex community or when people are out there new to Hex and they get turned off by scam this, scam that. What is I don't know what is the most misunderstood thing about Richard and how does this keep happening? Like we have this winning product, but there's always this in the corner over here. There's always this loud noises coming from this and that we have to push back against. So how do you I don't know. How do you see Richard, and how do you um, what do you think is people get so wrong about him?
That's a great question. In a lot of ways, he's a good disruptor, like the rock in a stream that's, all the stream, everyone has the same direction, flowing the same way, has the same thoughts, and he's just this big boulder in the middle of the river that's just disrupting everything right there, and all the water parting past him, and the river trying to like force him out of there, but just being this solid foundation, like, no, we are here. uh, And what I mean by a good disruptor also is that he speaks his mind, he calls out the truth, he's helping thousands of people both to learn and grow, like, mentally, and with the product he created that enabled them to grow financially, potentially, but it's already been proven too. And he has a persona that often rubs people the wrong way because he's catching attention, and it is growing Hex and the community. It's my friend calls it he's the Donald Trump of crypto, which is the perfect
Yeah.
analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, but even with all of that, you can, if you actually watch his videos, like all of us do, of course, but all of us can tell, I think, that he has a good heart, and deep down, like, he really wants to see everyone succeed and be happy. Truly, I think that's what it all comes down to with everything he does. But the people off on the side who are looking on to this whole situation aren't really seeing that, the true um, mission behind all of that. They're just seeing, like, the obnoxiousness that he may portray. And so they're just
Yeah.
like, oh, that guy just, like, rubs me the wrong way, and we gotta get him or censor him or destroy his community. And this is just ridiculous that all these people are making so much money and I don't have anything because I haven't been investing in it. But oh, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what I've seen so far. Um, yeah,
Do, do
he's
you,
he's a great man though.
I think that's the thing I struggle with sometimes too. And when I look in the comments and everyone's so mad at PulseChain not launching and lies, scam, refund, like all those things, just all the time in the last few months. And it's just I struggle with just being able to just think about. And again, I guess I have a bit different perspective after following him for 6 years now, and
That's awesome.
it's I mean, even a couple years, it sounds like you've been, at least aware of them and got to know him in some way, shape, or form through maybe you watched some of the self-help stuff, maybe you watched his early videos, so you got to see that side of Richard too. And it just doesn't make any sense to even. I can't even understand the other perspective. I try to put myself, okay, if you only been here a year or so and you're only sacked the PulseChain, or you just you come here and maybe you bought Hex high and it's down right now, and all those things going on in the bear market. But when you see what he's really about and you understand, or maybe you've read Scivive and maybe you really understand the meaning behind delayed gratification and how to win in finance, not only crypto but finance and life in general. All these are the pillars of how to do great things. And it's just the perspective of those who maybe they're just looking at it from the outside. They're looking at the Gucci, they're looking at the obnoxious comments on Twitter every once in a while, they're looking at the outrage marketing, and they just how do we get people to look deeper? I guess is this just not the time? It's just not going to happen in the bear market? Is there just so much layers on top of it they just can't see the real Richard?
Yeah, I'm not sure that'll happen right now, until Richard Hart's products have, like, reached such a level of success and virality that he maybe relaxes a little bit and says, "Hey, by the way, I did all this for all of you guys, and this was." I mean, he says it now. He already says exactly what he's doing, and with the outrage marketing, and he says his true motives all the time is to create good lives for people, and the longevity research and donations, raising money for all of that. It's for people though. They'll see it more as time goes on this year and next year, because just the mass thought in general is uplifting, and people are coming out of the matrix metaphorically, and they're just starting to see their fellow man as more good instead of their enemies, which is what we all need. I mean, we're not pitted against each other, we're all connected. So as people in general just are lifting their thought up and learn, they're forced to grow right now, then it'll indirectly go back to our community too, of seeing Richard as his true self also. So I think that would be my best answer. And hey, Max, is it okay if I ask you a question too? Because
Of
I'm
course.
interested in your background. So
Yeah.
you've been following Richard Hart for 6 years now, which is amazing. Um, have has he really made impact in your life that was a massive, like, changed your life moment, or what happened there when you discovered him and started watching his videos?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely made a difference. I think I came into crypto 2016 and I found Richard shortly afterwards, and he just became this like perfect timing. I'm new to crypto. I don't know anything about finance. I never thought, financial freedom wasn't even a thing. I was like, oh, one day I'll figure it out, I guess, but there was no real plan. And I started watching his videos, and actually, somebody at a party mentioned like, "Oh, have you heard of Richard Hart? He hates Ethereum." And at the time, I just learned about Ethereum. I was like, "Oh, it seems okay. What's he talking about?" So I just went through and just poured through all his videos, and I thought, "Wow, this guy is super smart, and somebody I can learn from." So that was, maybe 18 months, 2 years before HEX. That was CFD token time, and I think that the changes that started happening was, one, I was just like being informed about crypto and how this stuff works, and like what are good products, what are solid, what do they look like, and his commentary and history just helped me put everything into perspective. And then his,
Definitely.
I was into, I've been the last few years like a health, wealth, wisdom, happiness journey, and I've been
Mhm,
consuming content from a lot of people. Richard is primary one, and that's why Scivive is so important to me.
mhm.
But Naval Ravikant was another huge one that I just consume every single stream I can get into, and it's just, I think between Richard has kind of built the foundation for, like, I would have never even imagined the term delayed gratification. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I know in our community it's such a big thing, but outside of that, that's not a that's not a term that's used very often. It's almost like a um,
That's true.
not a medical term, but like a clinical term almost. It's a textbook thing. It's something that, oh, you read about, you learn about, it kind of makes sense. But him coming from, writing Scivive, I read that unedited on the airplane, very hard to do, very hard to digest. And then so glad that SJ did audiobook version of it. But he really put me on the path. I think Richard, more than anyone I've ever consumed content from and like looked up to, and he put me on the path to it's possible. Like, he opened up these possibilities. If you make the right choices, here's a fair product for you. Like, here's how the world works with Scivive. Here's the product that can make you rich with HEX. Here's how I'm going to dominate the world and what I believe is crypto to him is a means to an end. I think he'll be remembered for, maybe the Hart Foundation is what I call it. Whatever it turns out to be,
That's a great point.
it's a good name, Richard. You feel free to take it. Feel free to take it if you want it. But like, that's what I've been referring to as, his saving. Like, he can save your money right now. He can help you. He can give you products that you have no expectations of, that you can make the right decisions around and create your own wealth, and you can solve problems that way. And he can literally save your life. He can literally extend your life through the medical research. It's just, he's in it for glory. I read a whole blog post about this about a year ago, actually, before I started streaming, and about his mission. His mission is glory. His mission is not being a celebrity. His mission is not being, although, I mean, I guess you could say like phase two, maybe he wants to be the best guy in crypto and have undisputed winning as far as all the vertical integration goes with PulseChain and HEX and all the things in that arena. But it all adds up to something much bigger. He wants to be remembered as one of the greatest people in the world. And he's making products that I call it trickle down glory. If you're able to like wrap your head around his stuff, I mean, you got a good chance. You got a good chance to do some cool things in your life, and why not? Why not?
That's a fantastic term right there, trickle down glory, because that also
Yeah.
encompasses all the people that have been made wealthy from this and their legacies too. That trickle down
Yes.
glory also, because I can imagine like so many of the early adopters and then the current adopters going off in 5 to 10 years of just creating absolutely wonderful things that'll help the world, or just blessing other people, get just lifting up their lives. But it all does trickle down, truly.
Yeah,
Well,
and
it's
so
very cool, Max. Thanks for sharing that. I
yeah,
loved hearing about it.
of course. Yeah, I think there's so many different verticals that you can benefit from being a part of this ecosystem, the Richard Hart Win ecosystem. If you're a developer and you come across HEX and you fall in love with it, maybe you create products that are good for the HEX, good for Hexicans, good for people in the community. So developer side of it, the winning at life side of it, maybe the Scivive if you're into that, the delayed gratification. It's not even about crypto. Really, if you can, it goes beyond crypto, and that's what. Where else do you get that? Where else do you get this? There's no other person I can think of in the world that is making these products and making this kind of impact and has this mission. And if you, especially like after I never even thought about the anti-aging, longevity, rejuvenation, medical research. I never even thought of that as being a thing until Richard was popularizing it in the community and with his book and just putting his money where his mouth is with enabling people that SAC for PulseChain to do it to Sin's Foundation that is working on a lot of that stuff. So you don't get that anywhere else. So that's why, my name's RH Maximalist. I want to pigeonhole myself into this community. I don't want to get distracted because I know I found the best thing. And why would I want to go anywhere else? That's my personal experience.
Absolutely valid. Love that. And it is a snowball movement. Like Richard Hart has started quite the movement that has gotten going, and then you see all these other developers building off of it too, with Hedron and all the projects part of the ecosystem. And then it is affecting more than just the finance sector. So decentralized cryptocurrency has really paved this way for the other sectors in our economy to now become decentralized. Energy is next, decentralizing energy. And then hopefully food is next, decentralizing food and creating local farming again and local farmers markets. And then all these other little segments, hopefully education pretty soon after. That's something I'm actually working on right now. Is there's such a problem with public education, and I feel compassion for all the students in public school because a lot of people are like, oh, they should just be homeschooling. It's like, well, that would be ideal, but for all the students whose parents like can't take the time out of jobs to do that, or to be able to afford to send them to a really nice private school or charter, there's still so many kids that are stuck in that system, and somebody has to care and change that. So even though it is kind of like a lost cause, like that's something I'm trying to work on right now, is like how we can change it, at least like mitigate a lot of the negative. And we have to be the change we want to see. So
That's a great point on homeschooling too. It's so hard to, because that, like you said, that is a good point. It is ideal if you want to educate your kids in the way that you see fit and keep them away from a lot of stuff that you don't like out there. That's become even crazier these days. But yeah, a lot of people have jobs, and school becomes daycare, for better or for worse. You need something to take care of that if you're working and not financially free. So that's another thing this ecosystem can do. You can participate in a place that if that's your goal, you want to own your own time to educate your kids. If you want to own your own time to create your own business, if you want to free yourself from all the stuff that the normies have to do out there, then this gives people a chance to do that. I think that's understatably powerful. Like I don't. Where else is it happening? It's happening here, and that's what's so crazy. Even when you explain about it, you tell people about it, and it's just trying to like dig through and just like, no, let me tell you why am I so passionate about this? Like, let me show you like how, what the winning team looks like. But it's tough to those kinds of things. I'm glad you're spending time on that. I know, I think you're part of the Mad Energy team. If you want to, I think there was a couple questions here. Do you want to talk about that and how you got involved? And I'll post a couple questions while we got them.
Sure. I always love talking about Mad Energy. Gets me pumped up for sure. um,
Gives you mad energy. It
and
sounds like an
first,
energy drink almost. I like it.
right? I think we were going to be at PulseCon. Unfortunately, it didn't happen the way it was intended to, but we had so many little Mad Energy themed things to pass out in gift bags to everyone. And we were even thinking about doing like custom energy gummies. So anyway,
Ooh,
different
that's
point.
cool.
But before, you just reminded me of something too, of what I love so much about the Hexagon community is I see more action-oriented people in this community than I've seen in all of crypto, even though, like, in general, crypto does have some very action-oriented people, which is great because the root of it was born out of, freedom, um, having complete control, sovereignty of your money. But Hexagons, they really taken it to a whole new level with creating the brochures to mail to everyone. Shout out to him. I forgot his name, but that's really cool. And creating this documentary and all the yourself, Max, and all the other YouTubers we have spreading the word and the banners that was being towed behind the plane at the fairgrounds in different states. Like that respect to all of you guys. That's cool.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I was going to say that's the genius of RH2 is, hey, you do the work. It's on you.
yeah,
Like, don't, like, you're involved in this. Go do the work. You want to see something happen? You go do it. So he can spend time on the the bigger ideas, the foundation, making the stuff go work in the way that he thinks is best. And then everyone else who loves the products, hey, you can build a community from the ground up. And once you have a stake in it, once you start participating and you put your time, effort, energy into it, then it means something more. It's harder to leave because you got look around, look at all the stuff you've made and did, and what you got to what you have to stick around for. So that's super powerful. Another pump-a-mental for the community, for this community we're in.
100%. It's fantastic that Richard promoted that so hard and so often to all of us too. That hey, it's up to you. It's up to you to grow this.
Big
So
big brain, Richard.
yeah, let's get into some mad energy things. So developments, gosh, there's so much happening every single week. Most of it cannot be stated publicly yet, but it's massive. So if any of you haven't heard of Mad Energy yet, it is an energy company that is an infrastructure developer and technology incubator. So all these different energy projects, such as geothermal, hydroelectric, um, liquid natural gas, those are often, that's a transitionary project in itself, um, are going to fund futuristic energy projects, such as wireless energy technology, something that Nikola Tesla had created back in the early 1900s. So, this is a company that has allowed investors, retail and accredited, to come and invest in this company and get equity in it. And then once all the offerings are closed, there's only the accredited offering open right now. So for any of you retail investors, there will be another retail offering soon. But once all those offerings are closed, the equity will be tokenized on PulseChain. So that's how it ties into PulseChain too, which is really cool. And it'll be the first energy company that will tokenize its equity on PulseChain, which is also a huge pump-a-mental, I personally believe, to the success and longevity of PulseChain itself. Because if you think about it, an asset-backed token on PulseChain, energy is needed 24/7. Like the need for energy never stops. So even in times of a bear market or a downturn, I mean, that's the asset-backed token of the Mad Energy token. What will be? I foresee that being like very, very stable, at least. Not financial advice, though. I have to say that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so Yeah, my role in Mad
Mhm.
Energy is I manage the social media, and then I'm head of the ambassador program as well. And
Okay.
Mad Energy developments. So the Firebird LNG project is probably the biggest one right now. That'll be the transition to funding all the great things. That is in the country of Suriname, next to Brazil.
Hmm.
And that is going to take, I'm trying not to get like too technical right here, but there is going to
Sure.
be an estimated 4 million metric tons of LNG created each year for the first 2 years. And then that LNG will both be powering Suriname and be sent to Europe to alleviate Europe's energy crisis right now, which is the leading project to do so also. And it's the fastest LNG project to be developed from beginning to end in the world right now. And then we have the leading experts of LNG in the world working on it. And George Wentz, the founder of Mad Energy, he actually is he's been a constitutional attorney his entire life, but also has the background in maritime litigation, so very much a lot of energy litigation projects. And he was actually the man that um, was able to lift the mask mandates on all public transportation in the United States because he sued the sitting president and won. And because
Hmm.
of him, a lot of other companies also lifted their mask mandates, not just in the United States, but it was a ripple effect across the world. So I can't even
Nice.
do him justice of like all the absolutely amazing things he's done and then the rest of the managing directors on the team. But if you guys do want to know more, then you can go to the Mad Evolution YouTube channel or go to madenergy.com. And yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy what that I feel like that company will do in the next 10 years because it'll transform the world as we know it and usher in a Star Trek future.
Star Trek Future. You know what? Well, those movies got a lot of hate, but I like the Star Trek movies with Chris Pine. For some reason they get a lot of hate. I don't know why. I like them.
I don't know anyone who doesn't like Star Trek.
Maybe I watched some. There's a YouTube channel called The Critical Drinker, and he's very critical of Star Trek movies. But I'm like, I like those movies. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe I'm just in my bubble of watching his movie reviews sometimes. As says, are you still doing the wireless power thing? It sounds like yes.
Yes. So there's a working prototype of the wireless tower in Texas that our team has gone down and visited, and they're in a working relationship right now. And it's in the research and development phase. So the vision is what we're working towards is that wireless towers would be posted next to our geothermal facilities or maybe hydroelectric facilities. So the energy created from that would go right into the tower, feeding that. And then the tower would send those wireless waves across the world. And one tower in America could be powering um, any any buildings over in Africa. So that the research of it right now is showing us that's what it's like, but it's still being tested. And what I know is that we would, from George has actually stood in front of the wireless tower while it's been on and working, and like energy has passed through him and around him, and it's been completely harmless for him right now. But they're of course going to test it completely and thoroughly to just ensure that it's safe and harmless. But what I'm really excited about for that too is that it's such a better solution than any wireless energy we have right now in the world. Because if you think about 5G, those are microwaves, tiny, tiny waves, very high frequency, and those don't resonate well with our bodies. And what the wireless towers would be using is xenic waves, a totally different type of wave that is low frequency and long waves that do resonate with us. And it can pass under our surface a little bit. So it could even power submarines wirelessly. It'll power airplanes and trains wirelessly, houses and buildings. And wouldn't be surprised if it powered, rocket ships, or if that will be the thing that will bring about flying cars for us all. There's endless possibilities. And how it
Yeah.
works for the receiver is that there's just a little antenna that, well, hopefully it'll be little. Right now it's like pretty massive, but they would have to engineer it to be a small receiver that would go on your vehicle or on a train or on your building, that would also meter the energy that you're getting. So it'll be very affordable and it's super abundant. So, but it's clean energy, then powering the world. And once that happens, it'll having abundant energy, something we haven't really experienced yet in the world, but since energy is the foundation for every other sector of the economy, it'll make things very simple. Even in the crypto space, like a concern is proof of work mining right now because it uses so much energy. And that wouldn't really be a concern anymore once we have abundant energy for everyone, or just the cost of living for people. Food will become much more affordable if everything was powered wirelessly. And all the products we buy, the clothes I'm wearing, a lot of the clothes we wear is made from polyester, which is a form of a fossil fuel, actually. It's a
Hmm.
form of plastic that comes, and plastic comes from fossil fuels.
Yeah.
So, clothing becomes affordable, products become affordable. Pretty much the whole world will then focus. If everything is affordable to everyone and everything's abundant, the focus of the world changes on what's more important in life, what you really value. So that's why I
Yeah.
say like it'll be more of a Star Trek future.
Yeah. What are we going to fight about if energy is abundant? Gosh, gotta find something else.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a petition to clone Crypty Girl. I'm okay with it. She's
Oh.
okay with it. I'm okay with it. We need more positivity in the world.
Oh, okay. He's saying like we should have more people like that. Okay.
Yes.
I thought
Yes.
he meant for a moment that I had another impersonator, because that happens a lot. And thank you, though.
Oh.
Thanks. Thanks,
Oh.
Alan.
There's another question here too. Going back to when we were talking about the documentary, how many 555 steaks have you made? Do you continually make steaks?
Yes, and I don't know how many 555 steaks. Probably like 20. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that, but they're decent sized, and I kind of split them up too because if I ever need to emergency end stake, I'm not nuking my whole portfolio. And then I literally
Mm.
just bought Hex last week and staked that. So yeah, I'm always buying
Mm.
and staking.
Here's an idea for a ladder. 111, 222, 333, all the way up to like 1111, 2222, and then 55. How many is that? Like 5,
That's
15,
cool.
15-ish ladder. Just because the numbers sound cool. I haven't did the research if it makes sense, but I mean, I guess why wouldn't it? I don't know. If you like
I think
all
it makes
the
sense.
same number games. So T-Bird, just scrolling through chat, seeing if we got any other questions. What's up, Maddie? Welcome, welcome. Only Bitcoin maxis hate Star Trek. You know what? Critical drinker. He may be a Bitcoin maxi. It's true. Now, okay. Apparently, I'm not the only one that watches this guy. Okay, he's pretty funny. He's like, his reviews are funny. I don't agree with all of them, but they're pretty funny. Matt Energy is lit AF. It's
T-Bird
shout out
is
from
cool.
T-Bird. The market is pumping SIP still at 2 penny. Yeah. Any commentary on? Is everyone just holding their breath for testnet v3? Is that when me, you, and everyone's going to the moon? Like what? I feel like the market's pumping, except Hex is. I don't know. People say Hex oversold. What do you think is going on? You think people are just waiting around for PulseChain and hopefully Richard's next tweet? His next tweet better be an update.
Are you asking when we're going to start pumping again, or
Oh
sorry?
yeah, just around so if the frame is the market, crypto is green right now and things are pumping, but Hex is kind of stable. Do you think people are just waiting around for the next news from Richard, or do you think just people are just not a lot of dry powder right now? We're just going to hang out. Any commentary around that?
Well, everyone has to wait until PulseChain launches, and so yeah, we're all waiting for news and updates. And we all know that PulseChain launching will drag the price of Hex up and take the whole crypto space with it. So Richard is definitely being strategic of when he launches PulseChain, and it'd likely be after the market has entirely bottomed out. So then there's just only up to go from there. Hex being at 2 pennies, I haven't really thought about it that much. It's been stable. Like there's resistance to dropping under 2 pennies. It did go in the 1 cent area a couple weeks ago or a week and a half ago, which is why I was thinking maybe that was the bottom of Hex, because then it shot right back up to the 2 cent range. So maybe we've seen the bottom for Hex, but not for the rest of the crypto market yet. And possibly PulseChain launching is very soon, but not quite yet until all the bad actors have been flushed out of the crypto space for good. So I'm really not sure when it's going to happen, but I feel like maybe April, just based on intuition.
April testnet launch or PulseChain launch?
PulseChain launch.
Ooh, wow. All right. I think I've been beat into, I do this thing where every time I've been pushing it out so far, even now I'm like testnet V3, I have no idea. It could be 6 months from now, but I do it to not cause myself anxiety. I'm like, nah, whatever it is, push it out 2 or 3 months. So I don't expect anything, and I'm not like counting down the days. So when I hear April launch, I'm like, oh, that sounds good. But I haven't even weaned myself into allowing testnet launch being a thing yet. I'm like, shut that part of my body off. I'm not going to think about it. But man, that would be great. That would be great. What's up,
Maybe, maybe end of April or maybe in May. I feel that just because I know April will be a big month for disclosure in a lot of other areas of our economy. So I feel like that all kind of leads in and ties together. Usually what's happening in the rest of the world is also tied to what's happening in the financial markets. So if April truly is like a month of disclosure, then perhaps, that's when PulseChain launches shortly after things start happening, when everyone learns things.
Yeah,
but that's all just speculation, everyone. So don't stake on it.
We got lots of people with their house money right now going to make financial decisions based on not financial advice. Please don't do that. You want to clarify which year? Because
2023.
Okay, just to make sure, because Richard said a while back mid-May, and if he launches in April, he's still technically correct because he didn't say what year. So that's all you out there saying Richard Prada man bad. No, he didn't. He might not have lied to you about that. There you go.
Yeah, I don't remember him saying that. Okay, so that's cool.
Yeah, well, mid-May, that was the thing. This past year in 2022, it was well. Actually, I think mid-May.
Yeah, well then.
Yeah, I think mid-May actually was an okay estimate. Yeah, I know it's been a while. I think mid-May was an okay estimate at the time, but I mean, he'll tell you, I'm terrible at estimates. And then ETH 2.0 came out. Did he see that coming and kind of changed the roadmap? Oh, okay, let's prepare for this now. Lots of different to be a fly on the wall of the dev team of PulseChain would give us a lot of information. Unfortunately, nobody is, and nobody who would be hopefully would leak stuff either, because I imagine you got a pretty tight knit team over there. Yeah. What else? What do you have going on in 2023? What are you looking forward to? What are your plans? I mean, it sounds like retirement if we go April. No, you got to wait a lot, right? That's the thing. You need to wait. You need to delay the gratification. Yeah. What are you looking forward to this year?
Oh, that's such a good question. I feel like this will be a year of action, like people taking initiative, not just in our space, just all around the world. So I think a lot will be happening. And then for myself, it's also a year of more self discovery, learning who I am, and then um, what I want to see in the next 20 years, not waiting for someone else to do it, but going and taking action and making it happen myself. Like I touched on with the education, like maybe coming up with my own curriculum to help put into schools. For if you're asking about the financial space, what's going to happen 2023? Oh, a lot. I feel like a lot of bad actors have been fleshed out, but we still have a lot more to go, such as, the stable coins collapsing. There was so much fraud that was happening with stable coins. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So once all that happens, I'm not sure. Um, and I'm not sure how many cryptocurrencies are gonna prevail, because probably a lot of them won't be ones of choice. And I also think that the financial space will be moving towards asset-backed currencies more in the next 5 years than nothing backing currencies, including for cryptocurrencies. I mean, having a limited supply is cool, but having an asset-backed currency really just changes the economy in a lot of beneficial ways, and that's just like a whole nother topic. Um, but I do think we'll see a lot of asset-backed currencies coming about, and stock companies being forced to take the digital currency route. So maybe they'll be moving from the stock market to issuing security tokens on the blockchain or also tokenizing their equity. I'm sure that'll be happening in 5 to 10 years, maybe not right now. So you're asking in 2023.
Generally.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's hard to see the future. I see HEX and PulseChain and PulseX doing amazing and taking off in price. Um, and I think that for 2023 that'll be well definitely as far as US dollars, that's not going to continue. The normal fiat currency will be replaced by something else. A lot of countries have already taken the US dollar out of their reserve currency. And governments looking at CBDCs and things.
Yeah. Just a question here, just related to the topic as well. What kind of disclosures is she expecting to see in April?
Probably historical, for the United States, and then also like ancient times, because a lot has been taken out of textbooks. And then even the Bible, I heard there was like hundreds of books of the Bible, but it was censored and taken out to be 66 books of the Bible. And even that was like edited across time, across history. And probably also extraterrestrial disclosure, just because it's like
Mhm.
so like known in the government and is starting to come out now. And there's going to be a UAP podcast that's going to be launched soon. And UAP is like the new term for UFO. UAP is unidentified aerial phenomena. And so I think that's just a term that they changed because it has less negative stigma to it than UFO had. But
Mhm.
that's all kind of, that it's all happening, it's all coming out now. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the pulse of the world and news coming out all over the place. It's um, very interesting, that's for sure. And knowledge is freedom in a lot of ways. So as we learn more about, Earth's history, um, it'll help with us in our future.
Yeah, it is hard. I would say in the modern world, hard to stay down to earth and hard to know what to pay attention to, and so much information. It's not what was a quote I heard the other day. It's not there's not a information shortage. There's a how was it put? Was it Tony Robbins said the other day? I was listening to some podcast. Uh, I forget what it was. I already messed up the quote, but we have a lot of information. So like finding the good information and actionable and useful information. That's the hard part. I'll wrap it up with that. And one more question before we wrap it up here. Omar, I did. So Richard said for PulseChain clients, go to my Twitter and at RHMaximalist and look at the last few tweets on that. And I did a whole video, search RHMax, Richard Hart, AMA number 3, where I talk about the 4 PulseChain clients. Was it Geth, Aragon, Prism, and Lighthouse? Those are execution clients and consensus clients. Or search for Leo on YouTube and you'll be able to find it.
I actually saw that clip on your YouTube channel. That was really helpful to explain for everyone, just taking out of technical terms and what it was. So good job with that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think there's just some easy wins from. So I come from a engineering type background and working technology. So I would not call myself like a crypto technology expert, but I know a lot of the foundations that I can apply, and it's easier for me to quickly come up to speed with a lot of concepts. So trying to be useful, trying to have utility, I'm like, oh, this is, not a lot of people know what these terms mean. And not a lot of people, understand how they fit together. So let me spend a couple hours, deep dive, put something together, get on stream, talk about it, answer questions, and produce some content to help the community. And that's, I'm sensitive to these opportunities when I can and have the time and energy. And that was one that hopefully is going to help people wrap their head around what's taking PulseChain so long and what the work that's being done and all the cool stuff that's coming.
Love it.
Yep. Yeah. What else do you want to send us off on? What are your final notes? It could be a question, could be a comment, could be what do you want to say to the community or just I guess a looking forward statement of what's going on with you? What do you want to send us off with?
Well, I usually like to finish off with that each of us as individuals are more powerful than we understand at this time. So, as we're going through 2023, just have faith in yourself and know that nothing is limited to you, and you can do anything that you wish to, and that for HEX, everything is going to be okay, and we're going to be going upwards soon, so just hang tight in there, be patient, keep on onboarding your friends and family, and lots of good is coming for the space and for the world. So stay positive.
Awesome. Yeah, in a brutal bear market, it is hard to stay positive. But like I said, one of the ways that I do it is to keep pushing out the launch. Don't let it bother me. I'd rather have a pleasant surprise than be disappointed when a date passed that I made up in my head of when it's coming or when I think it's coming or all of those sorts of things. So yeah, try to relax, try to not induce anxiety. PulseChain will launch 2023. Hopefully will be an amazing year for our community. And yeah, I love the positivity you bring, and I love the ethos of this community. When you talk about Richard and you talk about just the good vibes, I think we need more of that. So I appreciate you for doing your part in this community.
Thank you. Do you want to see something cool really quick?
Absolutely.
I just remembered yesterday one of my sample hats came in for my shop because I was like, I need some PulseX hats there. So yeah, I just want to show you guys.
Yeah, definitely. And hat and where can we find it? That's beautiful.
CryptyShop.com. Yeah, so this is my sample flat bill hat. And I actually have PulseX.com right there on the side of the hat because one of the Hexicans was mentioning, man, I'd love to have the website on the side of the hat. So now we do. We have it, PulseX.com embroidered on the side. And then this is the green arrow pointing up because I know a lot of you would be wondering, like, why is there arrow there? But it's just because Richard's products are all like trademarked. And so I always follow the fair use derivative, creating something
Mm.
slightly different so that I'm following the rules. And it's just a principled thing for me.
I mean, I
And
saw it and I thought price go up. I like it.
yeah, it
Yeah.
looks good still, too. And they come in all different colors. Oh, my
Looks,
band there is messing it up.
okay.
Yeah. So
Wow,
go
looks
get
great on you.
yourself a PulseX hat.
Nice. I'm getting a Chicago Bulls like Michael Jordan vibe for some reason. I think the red and black probably. It looks cool though. I like it.
It looks really powerful. I love that as part of the logo, the red and green and the black. So anyway,
Yes,
thanks for the show, everyone. I hope everyone has a great night.
of course. Yeah, where can tell people where they can find you on YouTube, on Twitter. Where shill your stuff, as Richard would say.
I don't need to shill. We're all good. I just recently deleted my YouTube channel, so just Crypty Girl on
Oh,
Twitter and Instagram.
awesome. We'll follow Crypty Girl on Twitter, Instagram. It's both Crypty Girl,
Mhm.
CRYPTY girl.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. Excellent conversation. Glad to meet you. Glad to hear the story about the documentary. Talk about mad energy and just all the wonderful stuff going on in the ecosystem. It's good. Been great to have you.
That was really fun. Thank you, Max. Thank you, everyone.
All right, everyone. We are out.